Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Hockey Town Rundown. You're here with us, your beautiful hosts, once again, Carlo and Zach. Carlo, happy
Buddy.
Four Nations, buddy.
Happy Four Nations. What a way to start. What a way to start.
It's a good way to start. Maybe for you, not so much for me. I'm a little hungover. Shout out to my boy Kenny for his 30th birthday yesterday. Well, it was earlier in the week, but we celebrated last night downtown. Buddy. So once again, happy birthday to you, Kenny. Hope you catch this episode. Carlo, it's been an exciting week so far with the Four Nations face-off going on, man. Especially last night. Did you expect, not really to jump ahead because we will talk about majority of these games. Did you expect the Four Nations to turn out quite the way that it is turning into currently?
So that's a good question. Like, I didn't really have an expectation until I saw it for myself. You know how I roll. Seeing is believing. All I'm going to say regarding Four Nations, especially after last night's game, USA versus Canada, I never want to see an all-star game again in my life.
Yeah.
Like, this is what NHL fans, hockey fans, this is what we want to see when we think of an all-star game. Best on best. And I'm not saying just this game, all-star games, I should say, plural, because realistically it is. There's multiple games. It's a tournament. This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, it is very, very awesome.
Carlo, I think that's a good segue to then jump into. Thanks for joining us once again on this brand new episode today. We really do appreciate those coming back, returning. If you aren't returning, if you're brand new, thanks for stopping by. We truly do appreciate that. Carlo, take a moment. Appreciate the fans, viewers, watchers, listeners, everyone around. Take a moment. Why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, and then hit the notification bell. If you are watching this or listening to this on YouTube, you also could do the same on Spotify and then on Apple Podcasts. If you are listening to us, why don't you go ahead and rate us the 5 stars, hit that follow button. And Carlo, the last 2 episodes, I'm going to ask again. Are you a mind reader? What rhymes with me and 3?
Oh, 3. Snap. Yes. That's a good, you know what? You really nailed that one. That was great execution on the way that considering you're hungover, that was very impressive.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate that. And what does that mean, free, Carlo? What does that mean to you and the people that are catching this brand new episode today?
So what that means essentially is, taking a minute and taking, maybe 2 minutes to just hit the bells, hit the likes, and hit the follow buttons. All those things, those 3 things are free things you can do. That was a good one. And we appreciate it a lot, of course, but it helps us. It helps our podcast. It helps our platform way more than you may think. Just those subtle little things really go a long way for us. And it allows us to continue to spread some Red Wings love, some hockey love to maybe some new folks. And again, it really keeps us going. That's really the motivation behind all this and the drive behind all this. It's knowing that, our show is reaching some people and new people. And if you are new, we love engaging with folks in the comments. So please, if you are new and you're watching us for the first time, let us know in the comments. We'd love to engage with you, ask you your takes on things, and definitely keep the discussions two-way as always. So please.
For fans, by fans, Carlo, as we once famously said. Well, we're going to make it famous right now, but during this time as well, we do want to show y'all our merchandise store with some of our really nice Hockey Town rundown apparel, Carlo. I mean, we got t-shirts, we got long sleeves, we got crew necks, we have regular sweatshirts, unisex, everything, men's and women's apparel here. Look at this. You even got a quarter zip. You got a full zip. You even got the Todd Father merchandise right here, scrolling down as well, more down here. And then you got some tank tops for when this weather, if it ever decides that it wants to stop snowing. I believe it's still snowing right now all day today. But also we got some caps down here. We got a really nice trucker cap if you like yours, Ben's, like mine. A flat bill if you're more like Carlo. Flat bills don't look really good on my head, Carlo. They look better on you, my dude. But then also we have In Todd We Trust here, and then a few more over here. Carlo is a big fan of this hoodie. I'm probably about to get one myself this weekend. Yes, I do have to order these myself. I do not get them for free, but honestly, Carlo, I don't think you could really beat that price tag. That's very cost affordable, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, you're right. And I'll mention it again. Like, we're not here to gouge anybody here. We want to get this stuff out for basically what the costs are to folks, and we believe that stuff like this, these catchy taglines, Mickey Redmond's lines, Ken Daniels' lines, all these guys that are just so big in the Red Wings community, and especially with us, but all of you guys too. We just want to get our stuff out there to really get fans very, very comfortable and confident in rocking Detroit Red Wings swag once again. We all have the winged wheel jerseys. I mean, I got tons, the hoodies, the hats, but to actually have some unique slogans, we haven't had them for a long time. So to be proud of a team like we are these days, we're going to start throwing some very unique slogans on. And the first example is my favorite one right here, in Todd We Trust, because boy, oh boy, do we trust Todd. That is just a absolute guarantee. So with that said, grab a hoodie. It's cold out. Maybe make yourself a tea. And in Todd We Trust. In Todd We Trust.
In Todd We Trust. Yes. So, Carlo, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into this brand new episode that is going to be dedicated to the Four Nations Face-Off tournament that is currently taking place, and that started earlier this week on Wednesday, February 12th. Yeah, with that being said, Carlo, the very first game, it's Canada versus Sweden. I don't think you could have asked for a better first matchup, to be honest with you. Did you have any expectations? First, I should ask going into this game. I know you're a big Canadian head.
Yeah.
Lucas Raymond over in Sweden, but your thoughts?
I thought this game played out exactly how I thought it would. I figured it would be a 1-goal game. I had 5-4. I had 5-4 selected, but it ended up being a 4-3 final for Canada. First period, Canada looked pretty dominant. They had those power play chances as well. And I think
dangerous.
It was dude. That Nathan McKinnon goal, I mean, it was real quick to open up the scoring. Oh, yeah. Probably the slickest pass I've seen Crosby do in a minute. Crosby had a great game. We'll get to that
game,
one too.
Dude, 3-point game.
Dude, his pass to Marner in overtime was the longest, most dramatic drop pass I've ever seen in my life. And it was really, really clutch the way that finished off. But this game went I obviously had Canada as the favorite. Just look, I mean, their power play one is nuts. It's dynamite. Their roster top to bottom when they're rolling lines is very scary, as all of them are. But when you're looking at the quality of per player, Canada's team, I think, edged out Sweden in this one, and it did on the scoreboard too. But I will preface by saying, like, these games, best on best, I mean, anybody can win these games. Any team can ultimately win these games because, again, it's best on best. We know who's on these teams. We see them a lot in the NHL regular season and the NHL playoffs and stuff. We know what these guys are made of. It's going to come down to honestly, I think it's going to come down to grit when we get into the final games. But this one here was entertaining. It was a great opening game. I'm glad it wasn't Canada-US, and I'm glad they waited and put Canada-US on Saturday night. That was nuts. But I had a ton of fun watching this game. You could tell it took a little bit of time. I think it took probably 5-6 minutes for both teams to really kind of set in. But once they did, man, it was truly some entertaining stuff to watch. And I mean, we'll get into last night's game, Canada-US. That one there was, I'm just going to pause because that one's going to take up its own thing. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Patience is a virtue, as we famously once said on a previous episode too, right, Carlo? But
sure is.
I agree with you, but I also disagree with you. I thought that the first part of this game, Canada versus Sweden, the first period was actually very, very much exciting. There was a lot of back and forth action, at least from Canada's side, because within the first minute, you had Canada going on a power play, and I'm just going to try and do my best iteration of the goal call between McDavid, McKinnon, and Crosby, right? Here's Connor McDavid, passes it to Sidney Crosby, over to Nathan McKinnon, he scores!
Nasty.
Dude, that's going to go down all time, one of the greatest goal calls in hockey. I firmly believe that because those are 2 or 3, I should say, my apologies, former first overall picks, all playing for Canada in the best tournament right now that you could play in. As we move further along, we will talk about some other good news that has come up in NHL sphere. So, but yeah, Carlo, I don't know. Like I said, I agree, but I disagree because then Canada also followed up later in the game, little midway through. Yeah, Brad Marchand making it 2-0 for Canada. You then go into the second period. Jonas Brodin, actually gets Sweden up on the board to make it 2-1. Then Mark Stone makes it 3-1. Then Sweden actually makes a quick comeback in the third period. And Carlo, we kind of said this. Maybe this is where teams actually finally start to pick it up and start playing a little more heavy dose of hockey, is when the third period starts to come around, right? So that's where I agreed with you, where it was a little slow in the second period. Okay, the tempo started to pick up a little bit. Boys are trying to get acclimated with their teammates and the system that their coaches probably want them to implement on the ice too, right? But as the third period came around, it was no joke. And let's highlight Lucas Raymond, because a 2-assist night, getting the third star in this game.
Big claps. Dude, even on that Jonas Brodin goal, I don't know if you caught what he did, but he made that sequence all happen, man. He's behind the net, mucking it up with Doughty, muscles Doughty, which is okay. Hey, Lucas. Wins that battle, squirts out, gets it to the point, they score. It was awesome. Like, that sequence doesn't happen without Raymond doing what he does, getting into those dirty areas and ultimately coming out with the puck. It was really, really great to see. And I'm just so pumped for Lucas Raymond, man, because even on the second goal, kind of those eyes again, man, those deceptive eyes. He's got this knack for these crazy passes to the dot. And it looks like he's shooting. Like, you would swear this guy's about to shoot, but nope, he's passing it to that left dot, and it's scoring. I mean, we see this happen. We've seen it countless times with him doing it with Alex DeBrincat. It's just those deceptive eyes, Lucas.
Yeah, and let's show the fans exactly what we're talking about here, Carlo. I'm just going to go ahead and rewind this real quick just so that they can see the whole play come out alive. Watch. And this was the second assist that he got versus Canada, and it's that same play that you talked about, how he did it with Alex DeBrincat, to do a fake shot. He's high up there, right, and then drops the down low pass, and then the other player finds that guy back door right there, right? So overall, just excellent playmaking skills by Lucas Raymond. And those commentators too, they were eating it up alive with Lucas Raymond, Carlo, and they're putting his name out on the hockey map. We talked about it here on this short video too.
100%, man. Like, if you watch right here, like, he's going in and he's passing this puck in. There's three guys that could potentially get a stick on it. So it just it's a testament to his passing game, his accuracy, the mustard he's got on that pass too, to make it there uninterrupted. I mean, he's playing at a high. Look at that.
Yeah, you got three players right there, 1, 2, 3, and then you can even say for the fourth. I mean, granted, this player did fall down on the ice, but still, like, you even play it out. Like, look at that. They're all just puck watching him, and that's the deception that he has created. Yes. And that goes along to saying, this is exactly what Patrick Kane does. He doesn't have an influence on the team. Wrong.
100%. 100%. So that's just Lucas Raymond had a very, very good first game with Team Sweden up against Canada. He looked really well, really, really good out there. And he just looked like he fit in well with a lot of these guys who are, I'll say it again, a lot older than him. Like, he is 22 years old. And he's doing these things. Like, he is only going to get better. It's only possible for him to get better. So lots to be excited about there. Raymond had himself a game, but Canada obviously stood a little bit taller on this one. Yep. They were the more complete team. And when you stack up the lineups, I mean, that shouldn't really be a surprise to many people.
Yep, they did end up losing. Team Sweden ended up losing 4-3 in overtime. They did end up finishing with a point, so that is really cool to see the 3-point system here, Carlo. But it was Mitch Marner and Sidney Crosby getting the assist on that overtime goal. But real quick, let's actually talk about that. Are you a fan of the 3-point system that the Four Nations face-off is implementing right now during this time? And is that something you would like to see the NHL do in the near future?
I am a fan of it, yes. And I believe if this was implemented, correct me if I'm wrong, but if the NHL was working under this system last season, wouldn't the Red Wings have made the playoffs?
Probably.
I'm pretty sure that's a fact. Keep me honest here, folks, but go ahead and drop that line in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate. I do like it. I think it makes sense. You're awarded accordingly for what you've earned or what you didn't earn. I think it makes total sense. I really do like the 3-point system.
Yeah, because of that, it's creating a lot of animosity between not only these clubs and the players, but the fan bases too. I mean, now you're looking at it, I am jumping quite ahead, but USA has already clinched. And
Yeah.
then you got these three teams all tied with 2 points,
Yeah.
right? So it's going to be really interesting. Carlo, let's go ahead and move along to the Finland versus USA game. Completely different type of game here, right? And at first you had Finland actually getting up on the board, and you're sitting here thinking like, okay, is this going to be another situation like the Canada versus Sweden game where the boys just need a little time to get acclimated to their line mates, the system that their coaches want to implement? Not really, because after that goal, not even 3 minutes later, you have Brady Tkachuk coming in, getting the first goal of the game for Team USA. Second period comes along, Matt Boldy gets up on the board, helps take the lead. Matt Tkachuk makes it 3-1. Jake Gensel makes it 4-1. Tkachuk getting his second goal, 5-1. And then Matt Tkachuk getting his second goal as well, making it 6-1. And then I believe it was Matty Tkachuk who ended up getting 3 points that game. So good game by the Tkachuk brothers, dude. The Bash Bros.
Yeah, literally the Bash Bros. Larkin put out a comment yesterday. I think it was before the game, but he's like, hanging out with the Tkachuk brothers is literally like watching the movie Slapshot. I was dying. It's awesome.
And speaking of Dylan Larkin, to me, Carlo, I'm just going to say what it is. I felt like he was shafted this game, but it is what it is. I mean, he only played 11 minutes and 14 seconds with 17 shifts. He did have 3 hits, though, and we did put out a short asking, is he being underutilized with Team USA after that game one? A lot of the Red Wings fans, including us, were saying, yes, he was, but we had a lot of different opinions where people are saying, yes, it is upsetting, and they are underutilizing him. But are we really going to be upset? Because then we could get a revenge tour type of Dylan Larkin for the Detroit Red Wings and a healthy Dylan Larkin. Do you understand that argument and see where some people are coming from with that?
Yes, I do. I do still think it's a little bit biased. Is he being underutilized? Honestly, I don't know if he is. Like I'm trying to look at this unbiasedly. Look at the team. They quickly adjusted, mind you. I shouldn't say quickly, but by the third period, he was playing where we think we're going to see him moving forward, considering that's how he lined up and slotted out last night against Canada. But I don't know if he's being underutilized, man. I really don't. I think he's being utilized. It makes me happy the way he's being utilized because obviously you look at as a fan of the Red Wings and a fan of Larkin, you look at the injury risk and you look at all that stuff. But again, look at the lineup. Like you have it up right there. Like who is he? Is he jumping Austin Matthews in the lineup? Is he jumping Braden Point in the lineup? Like we have to be real here.
Yeah, this is a stacked lineup. I mean, just reading the names: Brady Tkachuk, Jack Eichel, JT Miller, Boldy, Trocheck, Matt Tkachuk, Larkin, Nelson, Matthews, Gensel, Connor, Hughes. I mean, yeah, that's a stacked team. I mean,
well, I said Braden Point. Braden Point's on Team Canada. I totally got Jake Gensel and Braden Point confused. That's embarrassing, but it's good content.
They look the same, right? Somewhat. Everyone deserves one on a Sunday like today.
That's true.
Carlo. Sunday scaries are allowed for everyone, especially me. But yeah, so I would agree with you and a lot of the fans. I mean, is it upsetting that Dylan Larkin only got 11 minutes that game? Yes. Are you really going to be upset with it? No, because like a lot of people are saying, if it keeps him healthy, then we're going to be okay with that. And even Dylan Larkin said, I'm just happy to have this jersey on my back. He is okay with that. And a lot of players, that's what this team was trying to construct, right? They kept on saying these players are going to have to acclimate to what we give them. While yes, they are top players with their clubs currently, but not here with Team USA because it is the best on best, right? So, but a lot of the moaning that we did as Red Wings fans, Carlo, it seemed to have worked because the very next game, they put them at the 3C instead of on the 4th line. I know I'm jumping ahead, but
I think they made that change. I think they made that change in the third period of this game. That's when I'm pretty sure I seen Larkin jump up as the 3C in the third period, and then they kind of just went with that lineup against Canada. And boy, oh boy, did that work out well for them. They were rolling really well last night, man. It was crazy. It was a crazy game.
Yeah. So before we jump into that Canada-USA game, let's go ahead and talk about the Finland versus Sweden game, where very unfortunate for Sweden. They lost in overtime once again, 4-3 to Finland. This was a very interesting game, Carlo. The first period to me was very weird. It was very slow. No one was really getting shots on goal. Luckily, Mika Zibanejad did open up the scoring, getting actually a 5-hole goal. Then you got Finland actually coming right back in that same period, scoring 2 goals by Anton Lundell and then Mikko Rantanen on the power play. You go into the second, Sweden turns it around, takes back the lead, making it 3-2. Then you got Barkov tying it once again. And then going into overtime, Mikael Granlund, dude, what a shot, what an opportunity. But Sweden just did not capitalize on a lot of their opportunities. At least for me, Carlo, like I said, didn't seem like that there was a lot of shooting in this game. I mean, looking at it, Finland 21 shots, Sweden 24 shots. Sweden had 2 opportunities on the power play, no goals. Seemed like they were very lackadaisical out there. It was very noticeable seeing Lucas Raymond out there. Once again, the commentators were eating him alive. He did end up getting an assist again in this game. Obviously, he did not earn a star like he did in his very first game, but Sweden walked away with another point. Finland, a much needed 2 points to stay within the race of this tournament, right? Because now they're tied with Sweden in terms of those points, and then with Canada as well. But Carlo, thoughts on this game real quick overall?
So I'll be honest with you, Zach, I did not catch this one. I caught just brief highlights and stuff online. Obviously, I saw Raymond's setup. But the one thing I noticed and the one takeaway for me was definitely the low volume. It looked like I think the first period there was like 8. Sweden had 8 shots and Finland had 4 shots, or it was super low. Not sure why. Like both these teams have played, so I figured they'd be a little more dialed in, chemistry wise with each other, and playing some high octane hockey. But it was a little more held back, I would say, a little more conservative. But nonetheless, still entertaining, man. You look at the score sheet. Who's not entertained when you're looking at those names?
No, and that's the thing too, is that we're seeing a lot. We're getting scoring, right? And that's exactly probably what a lot of these fans that are watching this wanted, right? And a lot of people were probably skeptical going into this tournament how it was going to go. That's why I asked at the start of it what your expectations were going into this before the games actually happened, right? It's that none of us really had. Maybe some of us did have expectations. I truly didn't. I just was happy to see best on best hockey, and that's exactly what we are getting out of this type of tournament with the 4 nations face-off, boys and girls. So you're very much in a good point in time to be a hockey fan in general. So enjoy the show and seeing these types of talents across the globe play and challenge each other to see who is the best nation in the world currently right now, Carlos. So highlight Lucas Raymond real quick. You did pull him up a little bit, but yeah, 3 assists so far in this tournament within the 2 games. And he was slotted on the 3rd line going into this tournament. Pretty sure they bumped him up to the 2nd line, and we're seeing him on PP1 now. Pretty sure they had him slotted on the PP2 at the beginning of this tournament. But someone coming in at his age, like you mentioned in the first game, a young pup going up against these big dogs, right? So he's trying to feed his mouth too. So is he helping Sweden? Like, is he kind of one of these players that is trying to drive Sweden to victory to make it into this championship game that will be on Thursday coming up here?
Yeah, I would say yes, absolutely. He was top 4 in total ice time amongst all forward groups. So, I mean, what does that tell you? They're leaning on him a lot. They know what he's capable of. And I think he really can dictate the play. And he has been. Like, when he gets the puck, anything can happen. The thing that I like most about Lucas Raymond, and I'm sure a lot of Swedes like about Lucas Raymond, is the fact that if he doesn't have the puck, he's not afraid to go and get it. That's a huge trait, a huge quality of his that I love, is if he wants the puck and if he doesn't got it, he will go get it. He's not afraid to do that against anybody. He did it against Drew Doughty, who's not in no means a pushover. Like, Doughty's a tough cookie, man. I know he's coming back from injury, but he's playing very, very well, by the way, Drew Doughty. Just a little Doughty plug there. But he's not afraid to get the puck, and that's probably my favorite characteristic. And my second favorite is those deceptive eyes. That's my second favorite.
Those deceptive eyes, yeah. And I just realized that I did not enlarge the screen for everyone. I was showing Lucas Raymond's stats from that game against Finland, so I do apologize about that for those that are watching this. But yeah, Lucas Raymond, those deceptive eyes. Maybe that's a T-shirt that we make, Carlo. Those Lucas Raymond eyes. It's almost like that one scene from Letterkenny. I don't know if you've ever seen that show, but for those that have, the very first episode where they're in the bathroom and he goes, Bieber eyes. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Carlo, if you've ever seen that show. Just wanted to throw that in there.
I'm thinking of the song by Kim Carnes, Betty Davis eyes.
Oh my God.
You got Lucas Raymond eyes. Yeah. We might have something
Bieber
cooking.
eyes, Lucas Raymond eyes.
Cooking.
Those deceptive eyes.
Yeah. That's
All
so
right.
funny. All right, let's get into the absolute heavyweight tilt, and I mean that in every aspect of the word, because it was an absolute heavyweight tilt. The first 9 seconds of this game, you get Matthew Tkachuk and Brandon Hagel. Literally, as soon as the puck drops, they're shaking their gloves. I'm not really going to draw winners. I think there were 3 fights. I think U.S. I think it was a tie, honestly a clean tie. I think Canada got one. U.S. got one, and then the other one was kind of a tie. But anyways, Hagel against Tkachuk 2 seconds into the game. Bennett against Brady Tkachuk 3 seconds into the game. Yes, as soon as the puck dropped again, Brady and Bennett went at it, and that was a great – both those guys are menaces. That was very entertaining. And then the third fight, the puck dropped. They were able to get it into a zone, and then you had JT Miller with Colton – Parayko going at it. And that really set the tone of the game. Like, nobody was backing down from anybody. I think USA, to back up a little bit, they had to have felt like the villain in this game. This whole booing the national anthem nonsense, whatever. I think you got to leave politics out of hockey. Like, it's leave politics for politics. I think, anyways, I'm not going to get into it, but stupid. But when you're doing
hockey
that,
related there, Carlo. No,
yeah, like when you're doing that, like, what do you think the bench is going through? Like, these guys are human beings, right? I'm sure that's really getting them riled up. So you're in Montreal, you're in Canada, you got a packed house booing you. Yeah, you feel like the villain, and you're coming out with a bit of an edge, and that's exactly what happened. The tone got set, and from there, somehow Canada squeaked out a power play. From all those fights. I think it was JT Miller that ended up getting a cross-checking penalty, which triggered that fight against Colton Parayko. But from there was no power play goal scored from either team actually throughout the game. But on that one, more importantly, there was no goal. Who did score a goal and who did open up the scoring? None other than Connor McDavid with a beautiful outlet pass from Drew Doughty. And I did mention earlier that Doughty's playing very well. He had himself an absolute delight of a game last night, and that pass that he made to McDavid to spring him was phenomenal. And there you have it right there with the finish. That was nasty. Like, that was nasty. And I will say, Zach, that place, the pop that happened when he scored that goal, I wish you could share the audio. Better than any WWE, WWF pop I've ever heard. Hands down. It was electric.
It's silky pass for sure from Drew Doughty, but that finish from Connor McDavid, I remember getting the tweet notifications for this, and the people were just going absolutely bonkers, and rightfully so. I mean, that is absolutely insane. Look at the crowd too. Like, I've never seen a crowd get like that, at least in a regular NHL game, right? Maybe in the playoffs, but that's exactly what this is. Best on best playoff hockey in a nutshell. But then look at USA coming right back at it, Carlo. Jake Gensel, what a goal for himself too, as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. Great pass, great speed, flying in. I'll be honest with you, Binnington should have had that. Binnington should have had that goal.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I'm not a fan of Canada's goaltending. I don't know if they're heavily relying on heavy offense and solid D. But that was pretty weak in my opinion. But credit to Gensel because he came in flying and he placed that puck perfectly.
And let's talk about our boy, Captain Dylan Larkin here. Look at him just flying down the sheet of ice like that. Look at that wrist shot right there, Carlo.
Yeah.
Go in depth about that and how exciting. Like you just mentioned to me earlier. What did you say earlier?
So obviously, fellow Canadian here, and rooting for Team Canada as per usual. But when I saw Larkin breaking off like that, I should say when I saw Crosby do a straight up giveaway, I was like, "What just happened?" And then I saw Larkin end up with the puck, and I'm like, "Uh-oh, here we go." And he buried that.
Look at him. Look at those strides.
Yeah, man, flying, and dude, what a shot! Right above the pad, right below the blocker. Like, we're talking a game of not even inches, dude. We're talking centimeters. To get that puck there, that's a shot that you practice. That's a D-Boss patented shot. Yeah. And he went full D-Boss on that, and it was awesome. I celebrated that goal. Sorry, Canada. Sorry, fellow Canadians. I'm a Dylan Larkin fan, and I was absolutely torn, but I really celebrated that goal. It was awesome. It was awesome.
I believe I said this in our group chat with the Hockeytown West boys that Canada will be the most dangerous nation in this tournament if they could figure out 5-on-5 scoring. Clearly, they did not get that memo this game. Can they do that in the next game, Carlo? Would you agree, outside of goaltending, that is probably their biggest crux right now in this tournament?
Yes, but I will say there's a very important factor that was not in the lineup for Canada last night, and that's Cale Makar.
Yeah.
He contributes a lot when it comes to 5-on-5 play because Cale Makar can easily make it so it's like if you're on a 5-on-4 because he can beat one or two guys himself. That's just Cale Makar's gift. So this team with a Cale Makar in the lineup, I think this game, I hope they play again. I really hope that they meet again in the finals. Yeah. And I hope for both teams, for the sake of everybody, even Matthew Tkachuk, I know he tweaked his wrist. I hope both teams are 100% healthy, and we can truly see a no excuse game to see really what happens there. But I think with Cale Makar in the lineup, that D shapes up a little bit differently, and I think they would be a little bit better 5-on-5. But you know how I am, bro. Seeing is believing. So Cale Makar, if you're listening, please get better and get those skates on.
We're going to put that on a t-shirt for you here pretty soon, Carlo. I'm a firm believer in that. Seeing is believing. But yeah, let's talk about Dylan Larkin. Yeah, I believe firmly, Carlo, that the head coaches heard our cries and our woes.
I think so too, man.
Bumping up Dylan Larkin to the 3C, and look at what happened. One goal, the game-winning goal.
Yep.
And then getting assist on the third goal from Jake Gensel. Jake Gensel also having a good game. He had a 2-goal game in this as well. So congratulations to him. Dylan Larkin also a +2 over 16 minutes time on ice, 24 shifts.
So that's a 5-minute bump, eh? That's a 5-minute ice time bump, which is pretty substantial.
Huge bump. He only had that one shot on net, converted it into a goal, and then only had one giveaway. He could have been a little bit better on the faceoffs. Not exactly sure how many faceoffs he took this game, but 28.6%. That's not exactly what we want to see out Dylan Larkin. Get a little bit closer to that 50% mark, kind of like here on Jack Eichel. But
keep in mind who he was up against, though, Zach. I will mention, I don't think we talked about this one yet. Larkin was out there against the studs.
Yeah.
For a majority of that game, when Canada pulled the goalie, who was out there? Dylan Larkin. Like, he's definitely playing a role that we know he can play and that we see him play, where he just shuts it down and he's on you like crazy. And he did it very effectively last night. He looked very, very good playing against those top-tier guys in those very, very crucial high-pressure moments when Canada was pushing and had U.S. on their heels trying to go for the tie. He was out there with some big boys, taking faceoffs against some big boys, and he looked good. I mean, I know the faceoff numbers, like you pointed out, weren't great, but I'm curious to see who does have great faceoff numbers. It's so crazy when you're playing the best of the best of the best. You know what I mean?
And does it really matter, because they ended up winning and thus clinching their spot in the championship game? And looking at the standings right now, for those that can't see this, you do have the standings here updated after each team playing their first 2 games with USA right at the top. Once again, they are a clinch. So their next game, which is against Sweden tomorrow, Monday, it truly doesn't matter to them, but obviously each team does want to play a little bit of the spoiler. But Carlo, you made it aware to me that there might be some USA players sitting just so that way they can get rested for that championship game on Thursday. But once again, here's that format, right? If you win in regulation, you get 3 points, which I love. I absolutely love that. If you win in overtime, it's 2. You lose in overtime, it's 1 point. You lose in regulation, it's 0. But Carlo, 3-way tie right here. So that being said, Carlo, who's it going to be that goes up against Team USA in the final? Because on Monday, February 17th, you have Canada going up against Finland at 1 p.m. and then Sweden playing up against Team USA at 8 p.m. on Monday once again. So Team USA really doesn't have a lot to play for. because they already clinched. And then, as you mentioned earlier to me before we started recording, that they might be sitting some of their top players like the Tkachuk brothers after having a massive brawl against Team Canada, right? So out of these, the three-way tie, who do you have going up against Team USA in the final?
I got Canada. I think I'm just playing out multiple different things in my head, but I think Canada going up against Finland, I'm thinking Canada wins that and really changes their goal differential substantially. And I think even with, potentially Matthew Tkachuk sitting, though I think it's going to take a hell of a lot to convince that guy to sit. If he doesn't have an injury, or if he's not concerned about his injury like he says, then he's going to definitely be in the lineup. And I think the USA is just going to continue to grow everything, their points, their differential, and everything like that. But I do think, which is going to obviously trigger a loss to Sweden. And then I think Canada is going to pull ahead of Finland by not only getting the W, but also fixing their goal differentials as well. I think Canada is really going to come out pretty large against Finland and go pretty hard. I think you're hearing a couple of the guys on Canada say, Monday's game 7. So that's kind of where their mind's at. That's where their focus at. I think you're going to, which it is. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see you're going to see some really good hockey. Honestly, I think you're going to see some really good hockey from both games on Monday. That's going to be where this tournament really takes it to level 11 and turns up the heat for sure.
Honestly, Carlo, it's like Christmas came early this year. Monday, 2 game 7s, essentially, you want to look at it that way. I mean, for 3 teams, not so much for USA, but for Sweden too. Sweden's got to play that way too. I mean, and for Finland, I hear what you're saying when you say it's probably going to be Canada, but I do want to make this a point that Finland's going to try just as hard too, dude. And for Canada, for Finland, they both have to make sure that this game does not go into overtime, because if Sweden can beat USA in regulation, they automatically clinch that second spot, Carlo.
That's right. Yeah.
Because they get the 3 points. So once again, are you a fan of this 3-point system? And would you like to see the NHL implement this? Because once again, I think this creates animosity amongst the players, the teams, and the fan bases. So I love this. I want the NHL to implement this, dude. Yeah,
I think it honestly, dude, I feel like it gives you a different angle and a different perspective going into games. Because if you really think about it, if there's more points on the line, well, then isn't there more to play for? Yeah. And I think that just changes the overall psyche of how you prepare for a game, how you play a game, how you execute a game. And I really think a 3-point system, in my opinion, I really think would just dial up the NHL just that little bit more when it comes to the skill, the talent, finishing your plays, hits, all that stuff, I think gets affected by it. And I'm a big fan of the 3-point system, and I really hope it does get implemented into the NHL. I think it would honestly be great for the game.
I think so too. I don't know if we're going to see that in the Gary Bettman era, but his time could be coming up pretty soon here, Carlo. I did hear some whispers around that. I mean, there was like an article about it or something, but he's not getting any younger, So
he's made a few hints. He's probably tired of getting booed. You think the next commissioner gets booed as much as he does?
Probably, but if it's not like an Adam Silver type, you know what I mean? That's like is good with like the younger crowds and stuff like that. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But we know that the NHL is very much a white collar type of sport, right? Where emotion doesn't really seem to be allowed. For whatever reason, and that's the same with their marketing gig and schemes that they have going on there. But Carlo, I think we can wrap that up. Let's talk about some of the around the league news, which is just pretty much talking about the 4 nations. And the first game, which was between Canada and Sweden, that drew in over 1 million viewers in the USA alone. And just, I think it was last episode or maybe the episode before, viewership for the NHL had been down. So is this the NHL's way of trying to get people more interested into watching NHL games after watching best on best hockey?
I mean, possibly. I think naturally, if you have best on best hockey and you have, Team Canada, Team USA, you're going to bring in some new viewers and some new eyes, because you're going to have those patriotic people that maybe never watch the NHL, but they're like, oh, Team USA is playing. Oh, Team Canada's playing. Let's unite and let's watch this game. Happens all the time when it comes to the Olympics and all that stuff, right? Do you watch pole vaulting? No, but I do watch it every 4 years because Canada's, you know what I mean? Like, it's that same type of vibe. So yes, I think you're going to see more viewers for sure. They need to make it easier to view, though.
Yes.
That's the thing. Their whole platform on the TV rights and all that stuff needs to be simplified big time and just make it way easy to access these things for anybody who wants to watch it on any given day. I think I made a reference to what WWE is doing with Netflix. I'm hoping that the NHL does something. Doesn't have to be with Netflix, but any one of those outlets. Amazon Prime, I think, would be great. They have a really good platform.
Give Carlos Stone Cold Steve Yzerman for him. He wants it done.
I still can't believe I said that. That was hilarious.
We did get some people calling you out for that. So congratulations to those that did catch that tail end of that episode. Thank you for commenting that. And if you did make it this far on this episode, why don't you go ahead and comment down below Stone Cold Steve Yzerman for us. We're going to make that maybe a t-shirt.
Yeah, we might have to. Eh? That's hilarious.
But also, Carlo, for the USA versus Finland game, there were 3.4 million North American viewers that tuned in for that game. So in North America alone, I feel like that's really low in comparison to, I mean, you look at like NBA, and we're going to go ahead and go back to that talking point, because you mentioned how you didn't even know that the NBA All-Star break was even going on, but you saw it on social media. Now, if you reverse the rules, because my buddies, especially my friend Kenny, whose birthday was last night, he didn't even have any idea that the Four Nations tournament was going on. He doesn't like hockey. He's a basketball guy, but he's on Twitter and social media just like we are. But he never got the notifications that you got about the NBA All-Star break. So is that kind of tying into the issue with the NHL here, is that they're just not doing a great job at marketing, even on the social media sphere?
No, I think with social media, it's challenging because, like, Twitter, for example, like my Twitter has been very carefully curated to be dialed in to what it is that I like, what I like to follow, and what I like to view. And it's been a long time. Like, I've been curating it. I feel like it's a never-ending process, but it's very much curated towards the NHL, the Detroit Red Wings, a few other teams as well. But that's pretty much it. So I was actually surprised that I got a notification or a tweet about the NBA. You know what I think it was? I think it was just following one of those TSN or ESPN or something, and they just threw out a tweet showing somebody doing a crazy dunk. It was nuts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh snap! I'm like, the All-Star game for NBA is going on. Right on, cool. Anyways, Four Nations. Like, I was like, whatever. Over. Moving on. I had no idea, and I guess the marketing goes both ways. Whether the NHL needs to do a better job marketing, the NBA needs to do a better job marketing, or the way the social media platforms just handle overall. How do I get this out? Like, hey, the NBA wants to market with us. How are we going to get this out? I feel like that's mainly the problem. But there's really no cross marketing between these leagues. So, I mean, you're going to see what you want to see, and that's the beauty of Twitter. You can curate that to be however you'd like it to be.
Yeah. And I would like to say too, Carlo, just to kind of add on top of that too, is that, what was it? It took 8 or 9 years. I mean, we had Matt Tkachuk saying that he had been waiting at least 9 years to play in a game where it was USA versus Canada, because we haven't seen the best on best in quite some time, because none of these NHL players have been able to play in the Olympics. But during the Four Nations face-off going on, we did get word and confirmation that World Cup of Hockey is confirmed for February of 2028. Location maybe somewhere in Europe. That's about as much as we know currently so far. But are you excited to have World Cup of Hockey, even though they're not going to have team, what was it, North America and Team Europe, I believe, whatever it was called?
I thought they were coming back. Team North America.
No.
Really?
They said no.
No way. But I'm not excited. Nope, I'm not excited.
But it kind of goes back to like this whole entire thing where the NHL they weren't doing a really good job at marketing exactly what they had, right? Where the NBA and some of these other sports leagues, they do a little bit better of a job at actually getting the point across on what they're trying to do to reach the viewers and get their attention and get them to watch the best on best, because they didn't have that for quite the longest time, Carlo. And now they're making it to where it's kind of like an every 2-year thing. Now they're allowed to play in the Olympics. The Winter Olympics will be in 2026, this upcoming next year, right? And then you have the 2028 World Cup of Hockey. Pretty sure that they're going to keep on implementing the Four Nations. Then in the summertime, you have the World Championships that go on, right? And then the World Juniors as well. All this great hockey stuff going on, and it's going to do wonders for the NHL. And it's no wonder why that the NHL salary cap is going to be increasing for many years as we continue forward. $5.5 million just for next year alone is absolutely insane. We've never seen growth quite like that yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how always and continuously implementing this best on best hockey is going to grow this game. Carlo, can you envision a world where hockey is a bigger sport and more watched than maybe the NBA, MLB, or NFL?
Well, I don't think the NFL
maybe not in our lifetime.
The NFL is a beast. That is a very, very well-oiled machine, but I do think there's the potential to see the NHL or hockey in general really take some leaps for sure when it comes to viewership, and it just comes to growing the game 100%. It's just a great game, man, to play, to watch, to be around, to cover. It's just an awesome game, and I feel like if they make it, they market it, and they make it a little more accessible for people, and they market it the right way. Like we're seeing some really cool things. Like I keep going back to that Amazon Face-Off docuseries or documentary. I don't even know. I can't remember what it was called, but it was awesome. Like stuff like that needs to be very consistent. And I think some more behind the scenes stuff to really give people some more access. It's going to help a lot. This is just my take on it anyways. But yeah, I think to answer your question, I don't know about the NFL, but I do think we could be, I do think the NHL and hockey overall could be a number 2 to that for sure.
All right. We'll just have to wait and see. Maybe contact Carlo in 50 years from now and we'll be
let
there.
Me know.
Who knows?
They're walking.
But Carlo, I think we can wrap up this episode. It's a really short one. Just wanted to talk about the Four Nations because there is no, obviously, Red Wings games going on. We do have a surprise for you guys actually midweek. We knew that we actually made a slight hint as to what this weekend's episode was going to be about. But because of what's going on with the Four Nations and Lucas Raymond and Dylan Larkin are absolutely shining during this Four Nations face-off, right? We wanted to dedicate a special episode to them and then also to you guys later on this week. So stay tuned, stick around. Carlo, let's jump into the final thoughts, buddy. Let's give it to the people.
Final thoughts. Let's enjoy this best on best. It looks like we're going to be getting quite a bit of it and really make up some lost time in the past with what's kind of on the docket upcoming throughout the next quite a few years here. But for me, obviously, it's let's go Canada. Let's go Cale Makar. That's a big piece of our defense. Let's get him back in action. And I do want to see, a Canada-US rematch this time in Boston, which is going to be, I think, is going to be awesome. That's going to be really cool. But those are my final thoughts. Let's go Canada and let's go Cale Makar.
USA, 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 free bird, yeah.
It would have been better if you like casually pulled out an electric guitar and started ripping off the solo in Freebird. That would have been dope.
I'm not that guy who just randomly pulls out an acoustic guitar at a bar and starts singing for everyone. That's not my jam. An electric guitar and start playing Freebird. Maybe I can get one of my dogs to do it. Come here, guys. But great final thoughts, Carlo. My final thoughts are I absolutely would love a rematch as well. I think that would be great, especially having a Cale Makar in there. I would say that definitely benefited Team USA a little bit. But Team Canada, you take the dub when you can. It is what it is. What'd you say?
It would have benefited Canada. I don't know if Cale Makar in the lineup would have benefited the USA.
No, him being out. My apologies. It benefited USA a little bit.
And you're the one that's hungover. I still can't believe that.
Sunday Scaries hit everyone differently, Carla. You know how she goes there, guy. But my final thoughts are USA. Let's keep it rolling. Keep it going. Keep it simple against Team Sweden. I think maybe Team Sweden comes in pretty high. It's going to be very interesting, but I'm making the call.
You're right.
I'm making the call right there with you, Carlo. I think it's Team USA versus Canada. That's what the league, the NHL wants. And I think that they're going to tell the refs to do everything in their power to make that happen if they can. Not saying it's rigged, not saying there's a script, NFL.
Hey, you know what? But I will say one thing I didn't mention. We haven't brought up the officiating of this tournament. It's been awesome so far. Speaking of the refs, it's been clean. It's been clean. They're letting them play. They're calling it like it's literally game 7 of the playoffs every game. They're calling some really, really good games, and they're really only calling the blatantly obvious things that are like undeniable. And credit to them on that. They were really getting it right. So I hope we don't see any referee, gibberish stuff happen against USA and Sweden. I hope we just see a very hungry two hungry teams come out. I think Sweden's going to have a bit of a chip on their shoulder, but I hope the officiating stays airtight. Just wanted to plug that in real quick. So I wanted to mention that earlier.
I thought that was a really great call out. Yeah, we didn't mention that earlier. So if you made it to this tail end, let us know as well what you thought about the officiating so far, because I absolutely agree with you, Carlo. There hasn't been any egregious calls. There hasn't been any blow-ups by fan bases calling out any referees' heads or anything like that. So I agree with you 1,000% there, buddy. So yeah, continuing on with my final thoughts, just USA once again, keep having fun, enjoying the best on best of hockey. It's going to be a little bit before we actually get to see this again, but it's coming, boys and girls. So stick around, find out. And until next time, we'll see y'all on the next one. See ya.
Peace, guys.